stories. Because once again, when you go back to a certain period, there's really no documentation effectively or voices besides, you know, Kool Herc. Once again, what happened at 1520 Sedgwick definitely happened. But there's so much more that was going on that on our numerous conversations, D is always dropping jewels that have me like stuck. That's why we wanted to do this right now, November Hip Hop History Month and all that. So talk about those early, you were at those early Herc parties?
Well, I wasn't at the earlier ones because I'm younger. I'm from the younger, but I was around the older people.
Got it.
Dancer, around 75, we started hearing about Herc and PAL and all of this. And so, and Smokey and the Master Plan bunch.
So now talk about these guys. You just so briefly.
So there was 2 DJs from downtown. My first introduction.
Talk about, no, downtown, help us out. You're talking downtown in the Bronx.
In the Bronx, so from on the west side of the Bronx and the South Bronx. And so me and my group, we were all dancers along Charlie Rock, Shiny Sean, James White, Cool Ray Express, Byron.
You talking break dancers?
We all dancers, and so
original break dancers, in other words.
Yeah, well, we're the babies of the first generation because Sasa and Trixie are older than us.
Got it.
And they're the ones who would. Those are the B-boys. Those were the people called B-boys.
Okay.
We all took that terminology home from Herc's parties because his dancers were called B-boys.
Okay.
We were just dancers, you know.
Okay.
And so there was a group in my neighborhood called TNT Disco, which was Tony O'Gara and Fat Tommy. And that was my first introduction into seeing guys with stuff set up outside with 2 turntables. Because even my neighborhood, it was a music neighborhood. There was always live band playing in the park.
Wow.
We had Showmobile. And you know, my sister is a professional dancer.
Okay.
She danced with LaRock Bay. I think she part of Alvin Ailey as well, I think.
Wow.
And so show business was just everywhere. And there's a lot of talent in Edenwald Projects, even though it gets a bad press. You know? So
because a lot of thugs was up in there as well.
yeah, it's a very interesting place. I'm actually working on my story, which deals with how that whole thing transpired and affected my life.
Got it.
And so Fat Tommy and Tony O'Gara were the DJs. First time somebody's playing loud music with turntables and stuff. You know, normally it was a band in our neighborhood. Right. And that was the thing that got me interested. But then some of my schoolmates, we were all musicians in the band. So myself, my brother Chevin, we called him Chevy Chev.
Okay.
And Timmy, we called him Timmy Tim. Now there's another Timmy Tim who we would refer to as the original Timmy Tim, who was part of the Herculoids, right? So
that was Kool Herc's crew, the Herculoids.
Part of his crew. So we adopt different names, but it was Derek, Chevin, and Timmy. And that was DST. You know? And so we started going to, we were all dancers also. So we started going to Herc's parties. And we go to the PAL to dance and then we dance in the center in our neighborhood, but we didn't know about these massive sound systems.
Okay.
We were content with the little box in the hallway. It's snowing outside. We practicing our moves. So then when we get to the community center with not even a much bigger system, but enough to hear it a little bit louder, we would just dance. It was just about the dance. We wasn't thinking about the sound systems or any of that.
What were some of the records, if you could drop a couple of names of songs that were hot for the dancers then?
Bongo Rock. Obviously Apache became
Apache on the Bongo Rock band.
Yeah, Bongo Rock itself was one of the early records.
Okay.
Earth, Wind and Fire, Africano. Shaft in Africa.
Oh God, yeah.
Black Heat, Love the Life You Live, Dynamic Superior, Funky Music is the Thing.
Okay.
Baby Huey, Listen to Me.
Woo. Yes.
You know, like these were songs, some of them were in our parents' records collection.
Right. Which I think is so interesting about where hip hop's early music, the records that DJs cut and scratched and knew about, they were in the parents' record collections most of the time. And
yeah, the thing is, and here's the misconception, the terminology is what skews what really happened. So when you use the term hip hop, you're severing the umbilical to the origins of the expression by not understanding that this music has been going on for a long time. This is soul music.
yes.
So we changed it to hip hop, and we cut the ties. This is my mother's record collection I'm playing. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say my mother ain't hip hop then. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
See what I'm saying? And so, you know, we dug into our parents' record collection and found the obscure beats, the breaks on these soul records, you know. And so, you know, I'm the youngest of four. So, and there was house parties, either my Aunt Audrey, my mother. And so these records are playing all the time. And we're in a music environment. There's musicians, you know, singers.
It was in your DNA, in other words.
Right. And so it wasn't a giant leap, you know, over to understanding the music of it. You know? And so once, you know, the game was afoot. Once it was like, you can go outside and set up your speakers and play your mother's record collection for your friends, you know, and that's what it was before the terminology, you know what I'm saying?